My wife hates my kids, and I am leaving her for it. I never imagined I would be sharing my life like this, especially about my soon-to-be ex-wife. A few weeks ago, I came across a post about a teen girl confronting her dad because his wife openly disliked her. It struck a chord with me. In the comments, I noticed a user who seemed to make hating her stepkids her entire identity. That user even used an old picture of my cat as a kitten as their avatar. My wife and I used to enjoy reading stories together on Reddit, so I was shocked to discover her secret account. I understand the need to vent, but her entire post history was filled with disdain for my children and my ex-wife. My ex and I have a civil relationship, and she's a wonderful mom. Yet my wife has made it clear she wants nothing to do with her, even feeling uncomfortable when I talked with my ex about our kids. Last year, my mother confronted my wife about how she treated my children. She pointed out that my wife was cold and excluded them. I believed my wife's explanations, thinking her anxiety was the reason for her behavior. But my mother was right all along. My wife's claims of my kids being her bonus kids were just a facade. She even called my daughter snitchy bitchy for expressing her feelings about being disliked. My wife paints my ex as an evil figure. And she plans to celebrate when child support ends. Her posts are filled with mockery, especially towards my daughter, whom she has diagnosed with personality issues. When she writes about my son, she portrays him as a wild brat, ignoring his nonverbal status and chronic health problems. It feels as if she resents being a stepmom, and I've come to realize that she never truly wanted this life with my children. When I confronted her about her posts, she claimed it was just a way to vent. But this was months of ridicule directed at my family, and I can't overlook that. Now she's asking for another chance, but I don't believe our relationship can survive this. I've moved in with my parents, and my ex is aware of the situation. My daughter has sensed that something is off, and I plan to talk to her after the holidays. Meanwhile, my wife is texting me as if everything is fine, saying she deleted her account and will seek help for her social media habits. I haven't shared this with anyone outside my family yet, but I feel like she believes we can just go back to normal. All I can say is Merry Christmas. I thought I had found my life partner, but it turns out I was just a fallback. I failed my kids by bringing her into our lives, and I refuse to have someone who dislikes them in our home.
Ita for not answering the door when my ex's mom showed up at my apartment unannounced? This story took place a couple of years ago, but it's been on my mind lately after discussing crazy mother-in-law stories with a friend. She thinks I might have been in the wrong. I have sole custody of my children, and my ex and his family live about a 9-hour drive away. One morning, around 9 a.m., I heard knocking on my bedroom window. I peeked through the blinds and saw a pair of sneakers. When I looked up, I was shocked to see my ex's mom staring back at me. The apartments where I live aren't gated, so anyone can drive onto the property, but they can't enter the buildings without a key. The only reason she had my address was that a few months earlier, she had asked to send some things for the kids, and I foolishly gave it to her. When I finally let her in, she claimed she was just in the neighborhood. I asked why she didn't call first, and she said it was a last-minute decision. She spent some time with the kids, and when she left, I told her that next time I needed at least a week's notice before she showed up. Fast forward about 4 months, and she did it again. I heard the familiar tapping on my window and immediately knew who it was. This time, I didn't even bother looking. She started calling me, and after the 5th call, I finally answered. She demanded I open the door because she wanted to see the kids. I was actually 45 minutes away visiting my dad with the kids and told her so. She insisted on getting my dad's address, but I refused. I told her I had no idea when I'd be home, which was a complete lie. She didn't believe me and thought I was just ignoring her. After I hung up, I received texts from my ex demanding I let his mom see the kids. I explained that I wasn't home. Imagine my surprise when I heard the police knocking on my door a few minutes later. I chose not to answer, but then I got a call from a random number. It was the officer, there for a wellness check because my ex's mom hadn't heard from me in 3 days and was extremely worried. I explained the situation to him, telling him she had shown up unannounced and that I had made it clear I couldn't accommodate her demands. After that call, I received a text from my ex calling me out for being unreasonable, saying it wouldn't have been hard to let his mom see the kids after she drove all that way. I want to be clear. I don't mind her visiting or being around my kids. I just can't stand her showing up unannounced and demanding to see them like that. It felt like she was trying to exert some kind of control over the situation.
I went overseas for my brother's funeral, got stuck, and now my pregnant fiancé says I abandoned her. I'm really struggling and could use some outside perspective. I've been with my fiancé for 3 years. For most of that time, we were long distance, but we finally moved in together around April. Now she's pregnant and due at the end of December. At the end of November, my only older brother passed away suddenly in Zimbabwe, leaving behind 2 young children. When I got the news, I was in shock. I felt a strong need to be there, not just for the funeral, but to support my mom and see my niece and nephew. I booked a flight the next day, planning to be away from Wednesday to Sunday. I tried to limit my time because my fiancé is pregnant. My job couldn't give me much leave, and money is tight with the baby coming. I genuinely believed I could go, say goodbye, support my family briefly, and be back quickly for my partner. On the day I was meant to fly home, I was denied boarding because I didn't have my British passport. I had traveled on my Zimbabwean passport and didn't realize this would be an issue. Since then, I've been stuck trying to get an emergency travel document. The process took much longer than expected, but it's finally been approved, and I should be home early next week. Being stuck here has been awful. I'm grieving my brother, worrying about the kids he left behind, taking unpaid leave and constantly stressing about my pregnant fiancé being alone back home. I feel helpless and emotionally numb. My fiancé is extremely angry. She says I should never have gone, that I abandoned her when she needed me most, and that we could have saved the money. I understand how scared and overwhelmed she must feel, but I hoped she'd also understand why I felt I needed to go. Today is her birthday, and she's blocked me. She told me she can't do this anymore and wants to be left alone. I can't reach her at all. I never intended to abandon her. I thought I could be there for my brother's funeral, see the children he left behind, and still be there for my partner. Instead, I feel like I've lost both at once. How do I fix this when I'm not even home yet? It actually happened. She reached out, but I'm with someone else now. Some Monday motivation. Today, she broke up with the man she left me for. She shattered my heart over a year ago when she chose him. At the time, she insisted it wasn't me, it wasn't her, and it wasn't him, even while they were still hanging out as friends. A few months later, they became an official couple after our 1.5-year relationship. Today, I learned they didn't even last 6 months. She was my first true love. From the moment I set eyes on her, I thought there would be no one else like her. If you've ever thought you found the one only to lose her, trust me, I understand your pain. I spent countless sleepless nights replaying everything in my mind. I'm not a religious man, but I prayed for the hurt to stop. I often questioned how she could leave me for someone like him. He had a reputation for being a player, was wealthy, and had a good job. While I was still searching for work, my confidence plummeted. I kept wondering what was wrong with me. Despite her attempts to reach out, I chose to maintain no contact. I focused on myself, found a better job with better pay, and dedicated time to building my body through sports and meditation. I spent time with friends who truly supported me. Eventually, I began meeting new people when I felt ready. It wasn't easy. Some dates turned into flings, while others had no chemistry at all. There were moments when I questioned if I would ever find someone I could truly love again. But 9 months after she broke my heart, I found someone who means the world to me. We can talk openly, share experiences, and dream about our future together. I heard the news about her breakup from friends first, so when she reached out today to ask how I was, I took a moment to tell one of them I owed him $10 for winning a bet. Then, I simply wished her well, muted, archived, and deleted the chat. I felt no desire to engage with her. Looking back, it doesn't even matter that she left me for someone like him. It revealed her true character, opportunistic. In a way, I'm grateful I found out sooner rather than later. I won't pretend to be the bigger person. Part of me is posting this because I'm relieved she got what she deserved, and I would never go back to her now. But the real message I want to share is this. Over a year ago, I thought my life was over. I believed I could never love again, but I bounced back. As cliché as it sounds, the support from this community kept me going. They told me it would get better, and even though I didn't believe it then, I can confidently say it truly does. Keep your heads up, everyone, and don't reach out to your ex. They chose to leave you at your lowest. They can face the consequences of their choices. Here's some Monday motivation that I hope inspires you, just as this community once inspired me. Always forward, forward always.
My brother's widowed fiancé's dead husband is not dead. The situation is so bizarre, I hardly know where to begin. For as long as I can remember, my brother has been the golden boy, while I felt like the family screw-up. I came along later, and by then, my parents were busy with their careers. My brother was too old to hang out with me. About 2 years ago, Golden Boy introduced us to his girlfriend, Sarah. She's beautiful, tall, and carries an air of tragedy about her. Exactly my brother's type. Sarah told us she was previously married, but that her husband suddenly passed away from a rare heart condition when he was only in his late 20s. After that, she left her home state, cut ties with her family and friends, and reinvented herself across the country. From the start, I felt uneasy about her. It was an instinct I couldn't quite put into words, but it didn't matter. My parents adored her. They included her in family vacations and birthday dinners, and soon my mom was saying things like, "I think she's the one for your brother." Sarah has no social media presence. Her last name is quite unusual, and over the past couple of years, I've occasionally Googled her. I found some recent work-related things, but nothing from her past or about her husband. She becomes emotional if you ask about him, and my brother quickly steps in to change the subject. They got engaged a few months ago, so now every conversation revolves around wedding planning. Sarah has very few friends, none from her past life, which is why I'm part of the bridal party alongside some of their mutual friends. A few weeks ago, while we were out shopping for bridesmaid dresses, I went to Venmo her for my dress. That's when I had a thought. How far back do her finances go? I started digging through her Venmo transactions. Most were between her and my brother or for hair and nails. But then I stumbled upon a payment from a guy that looked like it was for living expenses. When I Googled him, I found his Instagram. What I discovered was shocking. He had a wedding photo from 2017, and in that photo, he was the groom, and Sarah was the bride. And he's very much alive. He posted just 3 days ago, and he's remarried with kids. Once I found her ex's account, I uncovered her siblings, her old maiden name, and her entire previous life. Now I'm at a crossroads. Part of me wonders if their relationship ended badly. Which is why she claims he's dead. Another part thinks maybe she's hiding something more serious, like being in witness protection. Do I tell my brother? Do I confront her directly and ask, "Hey, what's going on?" I've saved all the evidence, but I'm torn about whether to keep it to myself or share it with someone. Me and my girlfriend are breaking up, and I can't shake the feeling that I'm making a mistake. She told me every girl is like this, but I'm not so sure. We've been together for almost 3 years, and lately, things have been tough. Everything moved so quickly at first. We started dating and then moved in together. I feel guilty because I'm her first boyfriend while she's my third girlfriend. I should have been more careful. But the excitement of those early days swept me away. For a while now, our differences have been causing friction. Small issues from the past keep resurfacing and growing into bigger problems. Emotionally, we're worlds apart. I crave calm and open dialogue, while she often reacts with anger, hitting things and retreating into silence when we argue. It's like she's on the edge, and when I try to talk, she insists that nothing's wrong. Just yesterday, we had a big argument. She has strong opinions about everything and everyone, and it often leads to conflict. We clashed when she refused to spend Christmas with my family, claiming she didn't like my siblings. Her reasons? She thinks my 6-year-old sister is spoiled, my 11-year-old brother is messy, and my 17-year-old brother is useless. She even criticized my mom's parenting. I couldn't understand why she felt it was her place to judge my family. I told her how much it bothers me that she's so bossy and critical, and she responded by saying it bothers her that I'm so easygoing. After our argument, I suggested breaking up. I can't keep rolling my eyes at our differences. She insists everyone is like her, but I don't believe that's true. Even though I initiated the breakup, I still feel guilty. Am I asking too much from her? Am I creating unnecessary trouble? What do you think?
Update. My husband has a new chosen family he prioritizes and sees every week. I'm feeling jealous and frustrated. It's been a while since my last post. Our little boy is now 2.5 years old. Thank you to everyone who commented. Your words were the wake-up call I needed. Some pointed out that I was being too passive, and while it stung, I knew it was true. After reflecting on your advice, I had a serious conversation with John about what was bothering me. He was away, serving as a groomsman for a good friend, and I told him to take an extra week to think about a few things. I asked him to consider if he wanted to stay married and be a family. If so, he needed to think about what changes he needed to make, not just regarding Pam, but in other areas too. I wanted him to come back ready to discuss it with me and our marriage counselor. If he couldn't do that, we would start looking into separation and co-parenting. To my surprise, he took this seriously. At the wedding, he reflected on our relationship and what he truly wanted. When he returned, he proposed several changes. He decided to take a break from Pam and their shared hobbies, focusing instead on our family. He took over preparations for the baby's nursery and promised to create a postpartum care plan for me and our child. John kept his promises and worked hard to regain my trust. When our son was born, he was overjoyed. And they quickly became inseparable, embarking on countless adventures together. Interestingly, Pam lost interest in John after our baby arrived. She wasn't fond of kids, and soon after cheated in her own poly relationship. Since then, John and Kevin have become good friends, and I have no worries there. Looking back, I realized I had strong feelings against Pam. She represented everything I didn't like, relying on men for validation, lacking ambition, and being frivolous. According to Kevin, she felt similarly about me, viewing me as controlling and overly focused on work. I was more emotional during my pregnancy than usual, and John liked feeling needed and admired. We had a lot to work through, but 2 years later, we're in a much better place. After the baby, I experienced a shift in hormones that increased my desire, which helped our relationship significantly. While my job is high stress and parenting can be challenging, we found happiness. This morning, we spent time snuggling in bed with our toddler and dog, pretending we were on a boat, making silly sounds, and sharing hugs. Our life may be a bit ordinary, but it works for us. I'm grateful for the encouragement to stand up for what I wanted and needed. Update. Wikta, if I took over planning my own funeral from my very religious parents. Hello everyone. First of all, thank you all for the kind words, support, and love that everyone has offered. These weeks have been the most difficult I have ever experienced. It is with great sadness that I share that my beautiful and cat-crazy wife has passed away. I wish I could say more, but I need to keep this brief. She left a note for all of you, and I want to share her words verbatim. She truly loved everyone and was so happy after her first post. Reddit. If you're reading this, I am no longer here. It feels a bit strange to be writing this. I have to take frequent breaks as I tire easily now. My husband offered to write these words, but I wanted my last words to be mine. Long story short, we talked to my parents. Many asked why my husband wasn't planning the funeral and why my parents were taking control. Honestly, they didn't take the news of my passing well. Their way of coping was to try and take charge of what they could. I understand that. They had already prepaid for a large portion of the service, and it was a tough situation for them. We talked it out, and somehow we reached a compromise. There were a lot of tears, hugs, and surprisingly, laughs. They admitted they had been losing their faith with everything that happened. And their way to find it again was to take control and guide me into the afterlife. But that wasn't my wish. I explained that I wanted to spend my last weeks in peace, not in the turmoil they were creating. While many say funerals are for the living, and that's true, I believe they should honor the person as they truly were, not as anyone else wanted them to be. My parents seemed to understand that. They weren't on board with the idea of party favors, which was a bit disappointing. But now that is all said and done, thank you everyone. I was blown away by your responses. I was moved to tears, and I wish I could meet every single one of you. Take it one day at a time and truly enjoy yourself. You only get one life, unless you're someone who has survived death. Then you're a hero with a few lives to spare. I love you all. I'm resting easy now. This disease was tough, and I'm happy to be free from it. Remember to laugh, love, cry, and embrace the ups and downs of life. I need to go now. I'm going to snuggle my husband and my cats. Keep it real, Reddit. Love you all. AITA for being furious that my husband gave away my sake and wine after I told him repeatedly not to. About 2 months ago, I returned from Japan with an expensive bottle of sake that I had carefully chosen after a sake tasting class. I'm not a big drinker, so I picked something special that I thought my husband would enjoy too. It was meant to be a shared treasure between us. I also had an unopened bottle of German wine that a friend had gifted me a few months prior. My husband and I had multiple conversations about this. He asked if he could give the sake to his father, his cousin, or friends, and I made it clear each time that it was a strict no. He understood how sentimental it was for me. He even refused to drink it the one time I opened it because he had a headache, leaving most of it untouched. Fast forward to 3 days ago. I was away from home, and he had friends over after a night out. I honestly didn't think he would touch the sake or the wine, because we had discussed it so many times. The next day, I asked him where the sake was, and he casually told me he shared both the sake and the unopened wine with his friends, and they finished everything. I was stunned, angry, disappointed. He then said he forgot that I told him not to give it to anyone, claiming he doesn't remember unimportant stuff. I had even given him a bottle of whiskey meant for his friends after my trip. When I confronted him about it, he turned it around and said, "Don't let it spoil our relationship," suggesting I see a counselor. AITA for being this upset over something he claims isn't a big deal, even though I had told him explicitly and repeatedly not to touch it. I can't process how my husband casually crossed such a significant boundary and seems so nonchalant about it.
First time in years that I'm excited for Christmas. I'm a 29-year-old guy in a relationship with an incredible woman who's 26. Over the past year and a half, I've come to understand just how tough things can be for her family. They live paycheck to paycheck, pooling their money for a few presents on birthdays and Christmas. For them, takeout is a rare treat. While I've never been wealthy, I've been fortunate enough to help them out. I've paid some bills and sent her money for takeout. They're a proud family, hesitant to accept serious help, but I want to support them. In the past year, my business has taken off. I've made some investments with a university friend, and it's been life-changing. I can hardly believe the numbers in my bank account sometimes. I decided to buy them a house, one that my girlfriend loves. Every time we drive past it, she tells me how much her dad admires it. It has a huge garden and a garage big enough for 2 cars. I paid for it in cash and officially became the owner yesterday. I'm planning to wrap the deed in a large box and leave it at the bottom. The legal stuff can wait. It's the gesture that matters. My mom and I will spend the next 10 days decorating it while my dad and his friends move in some basic furniture. After that, they can decide what they want to add. I'm really hoping they'll accept it. Alongside the house, I've gone all out on presents this year. I got my mom a bottle of wine she loved years ago, but would never buy for herself. For my dad, I found a black Jaguar from the 90s that he's always talked about. I can't wait to sit by the tree with a big smile on my face, feeling proud of what I've done. I think I've earned this moment. I got filmed and posted on social media, and I genuinely don't understand why anyone thinks that stuff is okay. I'm a 25-year-old woman, and last Thursday, I decided to have a self-care day. I treated myself to a visit at the hair salon, enjoyed some beauty treatments, and then headed to the Westfield Topanga Mall for lunch. I was alone, but that didn't bother me. As a housewife, my friends were all busy working. However, I was still carrying some heavy emotions. Just 10 days prior, I had a miscarriage, and while I sat there eating, I spotted 2 women with babies, which brought tears to my eyes. I wasn't crying loudly or making a scene. I was just quietly processing my feelings. To add to that, I have a habit of shaking when I eat, something I've always done. Then Friday night, a friend sent me a link to a video. Someone had filmed me and commented on how I looked sweet and how they wanted to come sit with me since I was alone. The video had over 100,000 views. I was overwhelmed with emotion, seeing the comments like, "OMG, I want to give her a hug." While I appreciated the mostly kind words, a few comments poked fun at my hair bow, which was barely visible. One even said, "She's cute, but she needs to lose the hair bow." Why should I have to change for strangers? I don't have social media, so my friend reached out to them and asked for the video to be taken down. I know it's not the end of the world, but it was embarrassing. I was just trying to enjoy my day, and eating alone in a mall food court isn't that unusual. People assumed I was crying because I was alone, but really, my friends were just at work. Thankfully, they eventually deleted the video, but there was some back and forth with my friend. They argued that they were just trying to be nice, and that the comments were mostly positive. I really don't understand how anyone thinks it's normal to post a video of someone shaking with tears in their eyes, eating ramen alone for everyone to see and comment on. I created this account to share my experience and hopefully reach anyone who might consider doing something similar. It was genuinely upsetting and embarrassing for me.